So as you all know, we are going for a training program. This program is on Python full stack development, right? So what is meant by full stack development? I think Bhavana was there in the last class. Hello, Bhavana. Bhavana, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what is the full stack development? As I had discussed in my last class. Tell me.
Developing both front and back end applications, sir.
Okay. So Bhavana is saying that full stack is a combination of front end and back end. Now, what are these front end and back end that we need? Okay. So in the last demo, you can watch the demo, and there I have explained everything in detail. So here today in today's class, what I want to do is I don't want to again repeat everything. What I'll do is in brief I'll tell you. Okay, you can watch the last demo. That link we will share to you. So I'll discuss in brief what is this full stack, and then I want to move on to like what we are going to do with Python. First, we need to learn Python, right? We need to learn Python properly. And then what we are going to do with that Python in this whole full stack process. Okay. So now I have a small picture here. So this picture, I hope everyone is able to see what is happening here. We are having three things: front end, back end, and database. And we have a user who will be using all these things. Without user, so nothing will happen, right? Now, what are these things? So whenever we are using any application, let's say Flipkart or Amazon or Instagram, what is happening there? There, not only the screens are coming. In the screens, we are able to see images, we are able to see posts, we are able to see comments, we are able to see messages, but those things look like pages, right? Web pages. But they are not only just pages. Apart from pages, lot of other things will be there. Okay. So what are those things? Like what it is called? One second. Ah. So what are those applications made of? The applications are actually made up of many things. We are just seeing the screens. We are just seeing the photos. But actually internally a lot of things are happening. The things that we see on the screen, whether it is uh, the mobile screen or the computer screen, that is just that is known as the front end or the UI, user interface. Okay, so that front end has its own technologies which are used to create that front end. But what is happening when I click on a link or when I click on the messages? What is happening? It is going to a new page and it is loading some messages and it is showing us, right? If the network is slow, what will happen? Will I be able to see the messages instantly? No, it will first load. Then the messages will come. That means it is loading means what? It is bringing the data from somewhere, correct? Is the message already present in the Instagram? No. I sent you a new message today, right? Now I have sent, but now it is 10:21. Will the message be there in the morning 6 a.m.? No. I sent it now, so it will come now. All right. So what is happening? The data is not present in the front. The data is coming from somewhere else, right? Front end is just for showing the user what kind of data it has. The app has. The app may be Flipkart, it may be Amazon, it may be Instagram, it may be anything. Okay. Now from where this data is coming? That data, again, the data where it is stored, it cannot be directly brought to our system actually. Data, as you all know, data will be stored in database, right? But our front end or the apps cannot directly call the database and bring the data. Okay. So for that, what we have is we have a separate system called the backend. Okay. There is a backend server. So these are nothing but all code. Front end is also code, backend is also code, database also, actually it is all code, right? Now this backend application, what it is doing, it is when I click from the front end, let's say I click on messages. So when I click on messages, I tell the backend server that please bring the messages. From where? From the database, right? So this backend, what it is doing, this backend server is always waiting that front end will tell me something, I will do it. Whatever the front end tells me, I will do it. If I am not able to do, I will give some error that this image doesn't exist. Image is not able to load. Password is incorrect. What are these things? These are errors, right? Whenever the backend server will not be able to do something, it will give some error. But most of the cases, what will happen? It will listen to the front end. Okay. Hello, am I audible, guys? I just want to ask.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to hear whatever I was saying till now?
Yes, yes. Hearing.
Okay, okay. I thought I was on mute. That's why I. Okay. Okay. So now, what this thing is, what I was saying, yes. So this backend will respond to the front end, right? It will wait for the things and it will respond accordingly, right? Now, what this backend will do? Backend now has the connection to the database. Front end directly doesn't have. I told you in the beginning, front end that cannot connect to the database directly, right? So front end, what it will do, it will tell the backend. Backend will again do another call to the backend, to the database. Data from the database, it will bring the data, and after bringing the data, what it will do? It will send to the front end, right? So this is the process how a full stack application works. Now these things can be written in different languages, different technologies. Front end can be written using basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? But nowadays, what is happening? Applications are becoming more complex. So people are writing using Angular, ReactJS, Vue.js. There are new technologies have come. But we can do everything using HTML, CSS, JavaScript also. But what happens? The code becomes very big. If you want to do so many things, if you want to do chat application, if you want to make a e-commerce application, many things needs to be done. So instead of that, what we are doing is we are going for these libraries and frameworks. Okay. And in the backend, what we are doing, we in the backend can also be written in many different languages. It can be written using JavaScript. It can be written using Java. It can be written using Python. Okay. Like that, many languages are used to write a backend. We have to select any one and we can start working. Now in this course, what we'll be using for our backend? We'll use Python. Why Python? In the backend, we have, we are using to develop the application Python. But we can do it using anything, right? We can use Java also. But learning Python. You're learning Python. You're learning Python, but Python is easier to learn. First thing, okay? Python is easier to learn than other languages. Let's say if we go to Java, it will take a lot of time for us to grab the concepts and all those things. Okay, I'm not saying something is good or bad. Everything is good. But the thing is, for us, for beginners, Python is more beginner friendly. Okay, that's why we will learn Python and start working on the backend very soon. Okay, then so here we will be using a technology called Django. Django is a Python framework which we will use to write the backend. Okay, and moving on to the database, again, database can be of different types. We have SQL, SQL is there, then these again, SQL has different types like MySQL, PostgreSQL, like that. These are all known as relational database. Okay, and there are some other databases which are not having the concept of SQL. Now, what do we mean by concept of SQL? It means in SQL, whatever these languages, whatever we are using, we store the data in the form of tables. There are rows and columns in SQL, but there are some database which are known as NoSQL database, where data is not stored in the form of tables. Okay, they are stored in the form of some other type, data type, that is known as JSON data type. JSON is something known as JavaScript object notation. So they are more JavaScript friendly, something like that. Okay, its structure is different. Okay, so that kind of databases are also there, like MongoDB. We'll be using MongoDB here, okay, in our code. So MongoDB is one type. Then there are some other things like Firestore. Then is another thing called DynamoDB. These are all NoSQL database. And we can use anything, but we are following a fixed flow. Front end, what we'll be doing? Front end, as I told you, nowadays people are using Angular React. We'll go with React in the front end. Backend, we'll use Python using the Django framework. And in the database, we'll be using MongoDB. Okay, these three things will be. Okay. Now let us move on to what we will do with all these things, like what kind of things we will create. Okay, and what kind of application we are actually going to make. Now, though, today's a demo, I will not teach any coding or something. Okay, but just we'll see. Now, to do all these things, what are the things I said? Let me just write down somewhere. Just for the time being, I will write. I said we will use ReactJS in the front end, right? ReactJS in the front end. Then in the back end, we'll be using Django and then MongoDB. In the backend, sorry, database. Now, before learning this ReactJS, we need to learn about HTML, CSS, JavaScript for sure. Okay, if we don't know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we cannot work on front end. Okay, so that thing will be there. Now, what is happening is this Django has directly nothing to do with ReactJS. That's why what I'm planning to do is from Monday, I'm directly starting Python. Parallelly, you will be learning HTML, CSS, maybe in the morning or maybe after 1 week. Okay, ultimate goal is to complete everything. So now what is happening is we have to learn this separately. We will learn this separately, and this MongoDB we will learn along with Django only. Okay, and ultimately what we will do is we will combine everything together into one application. Right? Front and back end will join, connect together, and we create it. Okay. Now, so here what we will be trying to do is this will be a front end so one separate application will be there, which will be for the front end. Another separate application will be the back end. Now see, as you have seen here, this front end is an application, back end is an application. This database is an application which we are not going to manage. Okay, we don't need to worry about it. But at a separate MongoDB server will be there. It will run. Okay, it will run. It is like it will be in the cloud. Okay, we will just connect to it. It will always be on. So we don't need to create that application separately. We'll only care about the front end application and back end. We'll have that separately in two separate places within our company. Okay, we'll run them both in separate places, and then they will connect to each other and bring the data and show it. Okay, this is our agenda. So that means we don't need to worry about this third part. Database part, we don't need to worry. We just need to know how to make it on. That's it. Think of it like a machine. We'll on it and then we'll start working. But these two things we have to create on our own. Okay. Now, now what these two, with these two things, what we can do? Actually, we can do a lot of things. Okay. So let's say, give me an example of an application. Let's say a Flipkart type of application. We can create a Flipkart type of application using these two things. What is that kind of application called? Those are known as e-commerce application. And then what is happening? In the front end, we are able to see product list. Product list is there. We are able to go to the product detail page. If I click on one of the product, it is opening a big page. It is showing all the details, right? What is the price? What are the things included in it? From where it will come? Ship, who is shipping, and all those things. And also, buy now button is there, or add to cart button is there. So if I click on add to cart, it is moving this item to another page called cart. So whenever we go to the cart, we can see our item is there or not. If I come back, does the item go from there? No, it will stay there, right? So these kind of things we will be able to see in our front end. But when I click on buy now, when I click on add to cart, when I click on delete from cart, whatever functionality is happening, that will not happen in the front end directly. That will happen in the back end, right? So when I click on add to cart, what is happening? In the database, for my name, one cart is there. In that item is added. When I click on delete from cart, what will happen? In the database, again, that item will be deleted, right? So that ultimate thing is not happening in the front end. No? We are just giving orders from the front end. Do this, do that, do this, do that. But ultimately, who is doing this? The backend application is doing where? On the database. That is the proper flow of how a web application works. Full stack application works. So this is one example. Then, so if you see any kind of example, any kind of application is possible. Okay, but the complexity will be different. Some projects are easy, some projects are tough. So now we all are now beginners. We cannot go to a very complex application. Okay, now Flipkart, it has a lot of many other things. So we cannot do everything. Okay, so we'll take up such a project which is not very easy, not very hard. If it is very easy, like you don't need to do anything, that also will not be helpful for you, right? So project should have some value. So we'll take such kind of some application. Okay. Then comes to the backend part. So front end, you don't need to worry. Sir will teach you very properly. It will start maybe from Monday. I hope so. So in this Django part, what we'll be doing? So now for front-end application, what it is doing, you already know. Like we are every day using the front-end application, isn't it? Whether in our phone or whether in the laptop or computer, we already know how a front-end application looks like. What does it do? We go there, we log in. First thing we always log in. If we don't have account, we sign up first, register ourselves. Only after registering we are able to log in, right? Without registering, if I put a wrong username and password, can I log in? No. So first thing is that registration must be done using username, email, or phone number, something you have, right? Then after logging in, we are able to see our page. Maybe my profile I can see, maybe the dashboard I can see. I can do some actions. I can see all those things. That's it. Nothing more than that. Okay, in the front end, nothing more is there. We can have some filters. We can have some sort by popularity, sort low to high, high to low. All those things are there. Okay. Apart from that, actually, nothing is there. Main functionality who is doing? The backend application. The backend application only is doing everything. Starting from the registering. Registering also not happening in our front end. No? It is happening in server, isn't it? When I am saying, please create an account for me, will it create in my laptop? No, it has to create it in the database. In the database with that username and password, some account must be there. Otherwise, if I try to log in, it will never work, isn't it? So here, if you see, the biggest thing is the backend. So this backend, what we are doing, as I told you, we will be using Django for that. And Django is, what is Django if someone asks you? Django is a Python framework for creating backend application. Okay, Django is a Python framework for creating backend application. Now, in that, what is there? What does that application do? As I told you in the beginning, we have to turn it on. That is also a machine kind of thing. We'll write the code and we have to press the on button. We have to run it somehow. We will type some command and press enter, and that command will turn that server on. After that, whenever the server is on, what it does, it will wait for any signal from the front end. From the front end, we may click anything, right? I may reload the page. That is also a call to the backend. So backend will keep on waiting that a front end will call me. If it calls me, I have to respond. Okay. So there are some connection points. Okay. So this front end this backend will have one link, one URL. This front end, if it hits that URL, only then the backend will listen. From the front end, if I say www.google.com, will my Django framework respond? No, it will not respond to google.com. Google.com is not owned by Django. Google.com is owned by Google, isn't it? So if I type google.com in browser, Google will listen, and it is giving us one page, right? When I type google.com, we are getting one page. What is that page? In that page, what is there? When I type google.com in browser and press enter, google.com is listening that yes, this person is asking for google.com. After that, it is responding and giving us some page. What is there in the page? Home page, search is there, right? That page who is giving? Google server is giving, right? In the same way here, what will happen is, here our Django server will have some URL. If we hit that URL, only then we will get data from it. Okay. So the process, first process is like the registration and login. That will happen. How that will happen? Front end will say, I have typed this username and password. Please check this username and password is matching or not. So first, the backend application, what it will do? It will check in database. It will go to the database and check whether this username and password are correct. If it is correct, then it will say yes, all okay. Now you can go to the dashboard. Now what will this backend tell? That yes, it is correct. You can go to dashboard. Sometimes what happens is the dashboard is not present in the front end. Sometimes from the backend also people are sending the page. Sometimes we are having everything in there. So that process is little bit complex. We'll not go with that currently what we have. All the screens we will have in our front end. Okay. Only logic we will have in the backend. Functionality we will have in the backend. All screens, all designs will have in our front end. Okay. Now, let me show you a sample Django application. This is a sample Django application. What is happening here? These code I didn't write. This code will automatically generate when we create a Django project. Okay. But I want to show you what code I have written. Okay. So let us go to something like, 1 second. This is a file. Here we are connecting to some URL. Okay. This is a long URL. It is connecting to some URL. What is this URL? This is URL for database. Okay. Front end will have a link to connect to backend. Backend will have another link to connect to database. Because as we saw here, front end cannot directly connect to database, right? So in the front end, I have to give the URL of whose URL I have to give in front end? Backend URL I will put in front end, and database URL I will put in backend. Okay. Whenever I connect to backend will automatically connect to database. Okay. So in my front end, let me see. So this is a front end application. Somewhere here, the backend URL must be there. Okay. Here, the backend application, we can see that once I run it, it is saying that it is running at this location. Okay. This is the URL. This is the link of backend. Now in my front end application, so see, I have two applications. Can you see? This is one application. This is one application. So this front end, somewhere the URL will be there. Is it there? Correct? It is written here Django API URL. So that is the connection string of the backend. And we also saw that in our backend, we have the connection chain of the database. So this way, the connection must be proper. If this is proper, then we can proceed with the other things. Okay. Next, let us see a small thing. Like I am having a sample application like this. Let me write this. Okay. Here, this is a sample application, which also we may create this also, or we may create some new application also. Something is happening there. Here, one add lead, something is there. When I click on it, one form is coming. This is the front-end application. I hope you are clear with it, right? Here we are having some first name, last name, phone number, age, source, status, and one add lead button will be there. When I click on this add lead button, what should happen? What should happen from the front end? Say loudly. I'm filling the form and then I'm clicking on add lead. What should happen actually when I click on add lead? Front end will not store in data. First you tell me what will front end do? I'm filling up the data. When I click on add lead, what will happen? But what will front end do? Front end, I am front end. This is back end. I will tell something to back end. What I will tell? What order I will give? To add the lead. Okay. But in that process, one more step is there. What this front end will do? It will take this whole data. It will take this whole data. Actually, it will send this data to the backend. That's it. Along with that data, it will give one small instruction. Please add this lead. Please add this lead, and it will give the whole data. Now, backend, what it will do? It will take the data. It will listen. It is able to see that, okay, front end is telling me something. But now backend needs to understand what to do. Right? Backend got the data. It got first name, last name, phone number, age, source, status, everything it got. Now backend, what it will do? Backend has a lot of code. There it will try to find out that code. Which code is related to this add lead? Okay. There will be so many codes in the backend. Add lead, delete user will be there, add user will be there, edit user will be there. So many things will be there in the backend, right? But it has to find out that code where this adding lead functionality is there. Once it is able to find out, then it will try to match. Okay, this data, first name I'll put here, last name I'll put here, everything I'll put, and then I will connect to the database and then I will store it. That is the whole process. So now when this add lead will happen, so in my backend code, if I go, there is a add lead function. Okay, what is this request? Request is sent from the front end. Okay, so this add leads will do some processing in the data and then it will save the data. This save is nothing but saving where? In database. Which database? MongoDB. Okay, ultimately when it is saved, and after that it will give us some confirmation to the front end. Okay, after saving it will say yes, it is saved. Okay, this person is saved, and whatever you want here, if instead of these thing, this return means it will return to front end. So in this code you can write yes, the lead is added, like that also you can see. Okay, so like that, if we see this page, it is having a lot of functionality. Add lead, then get all leads, get all users, show me all users, then update lead, then delete lead, then get lead by ID, then get lead activities. So like this, add a lead activity. So many functionalities there, right? So whenever I am sending some request from the front end, the backend first needs to find out which functionality I have to do. Okay. So in that process, there is a file called URLs, which will help it to find. It is like, in the very big book is there with me. 500 pages book is there. I need to find out where a certain topic is there. Okay. In C, we have pointers. Pointer topic is there, right? C programming book is there. Now, where to find that pointer topic in the whole book? Will you go page by page? We'll go to index page. In the index page, I will see where pointer topic is there. It is, let's say, page number 56. Then we'll go to 56, right? In the same way, these views, currently, this is a very small application. This is enough for us. That's why we are having only 5-6 functional. Okay. But in a very big application, how many functionality will be there? Maybe hundreds, right? We cannot, this application cannot go one by one and find out where that thing is, right? So for that, this URL.py is the index page. Here, if it is add, go to add lead function. If it is get all, go to get all leads function. This way we are giving the index. Okay. This way the application is able to find out which functionality to run when the front end is giving certain orders. Because front end will give different orders. Now we saw only one order. We will see some other orders. Let's say here actions, activity is there. I want to add one activity. If I click on something, write something and click on add node, it will do some other, it will give some other order to the backend, right? So particularly that thing is this one. This is the order that will happen. And it should go to add lead activity. It will go to this functionality. And it will do all these things. And then it will do some database calls. It will save or update in the database. And it will say, it will return some message to the front end. What message it will send? Activity added. This kind of message. So this is how the full stack application is working. Okay. So this way we'll try to create some application. First, we'll try to make a very small app. First, we need to understand. Now, we cannot directly go to a big application like this. First, we'll do some very basic logic. Are we able to log in? Yes. Are we able to log out? Yes. Are we able to register? Yes. Then we'll have some list in the database. Some data will be there. Let's say 5 items are there. Apple, mango, banana, pineapple, orange. Okay. Are we able to get the data? So this kind of small thing we'll see in the beginning. We are able to do this. Yes. Then we'll go to bigger application like this. Okay. Now here, first we'll start with this. Then we'll try to do some advanced things like security purpose, what we are doing for the login, right? We'll try those small things at the end. Okay. So this is all about the full stack application that mostly we'll be doing. Okay. And anything else till now? Anything you want to know about anything like front end, back end, or database? Anything like what we'll be using, where we'll be doing, like that. One more thing I want to tell you. See, we saw that we'll be using these things, right? First, we should also know that what are the things we need. Is a laptop enough or not? That also we should know, na? So in ReactJS, before learning ReactJS, we learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? So to use or work on these technologies, we don't need to do any installation or anything. Okay. We need a code editor. What is this screen? In this screen, we can edit the code, right? We are able to write the code. We need this kind of application first. Okay. What is this application? Do you know? This is known as Visual Studio Code. This is known as Visual Studio Code. Microsoft Visual Studio Code. It is created by Microsoft and it is free. We can go to Visual Studio Code website and download this application. It will be blank application. Then we'll start creating files and we'll start writing code in that files. Okay. Basically, what we do in C, Java, we create a file .c, .java, and we start writing code and we run. Right? We compile it and we run. So that thing is needed. First thing is Visual Studio Code. Next thing, what do we need? For HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you don't need to install anything, like any language or anything, nothing. For C or Java, we need to install the compiler. C compiler is there, Turbo C, GCC, something are there, right? For Java also, we need to have the compiler. Oh, Java compiler, we don't install. What we do, we install the JRE JDK, so that we can run Java. Isn't it? What is inside the JRE? Inside the JRE, we have Java compiler who is doing the compilation and running the code. Okay. So that kind of things we don't need to do for HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Why? Because JavaScript is different from C and Java. C and Java are known as compiled languages. Okay. What is the difference between this compiled language and languages like this? JavaScript and Python are known as interpreted language. Okay. So what is the difference? The difference is, can anyone tell me? What is the difference between this compiled language and interpreted language? Okay, let me explain. Not a big thing, but the thing is this, what is called, it's compiled languages. Whenever we are writing some code, let's say in C or Java, what we are doing. Anyways, whatever language we write, these languages cannot be understood by our system, right? We have to convert it into a machine understandable code.
Binary
Right?
language.
Sorry?
Yeah, binary language.
Yes, computer can understand only binary language, zeros and ones, right? So what we have to do is we have to convert this. Now, who will do the conversion? That is the thing. When we have the C or Java, which are compiled languages, they have their own compiler. What is compilers are doing? They are converting this code into zeros and ones, and they are creating a file. That file we run. That file can be directly run. Why we are able to directly run that file? Because it is written in zeros and ones. That's why we can run it in our system. Otherwise, we cannot run. We cannot run directly C file. It will say this language, I don't know, system itself, right? So we write the code, and then after the writing is complete, then we compile it and then we run it. This is what the compiled language does. But interpreted languages are not like. Interpreted languages are something different. Whenever we are writing, after that, we directly run it. What happens in that process? Where if we try to run it, then also it should not run, isn't it? Because that is a different language. It is not written in, am I writing Python in zeros and one? No, I am writing English word only. Data, try, def, these are English words only. So what is happening when I run this code? While running, it is compiled. Okay, while running, what it is doing, it is compiling one line and doing it. Okay, so that is the difference between this compiled language and interpreted language. Okay, so that's why what we don't need to do is we don't need to install anything for this JavaScript. JavaScript will be run in the browser. Okay, browser will do. And for Django, we need to install Python. Django separately, you don't need to install. That will be installed inside our project. And for MongoDB also, nothing much is needed. Some driver is there that is needed if you run it locally. Otherwise, that also is not needed. Okay, we can do it what is called. Currently, what I'm doing is I'm using the web version of MongoDB. So I'm not running it in my system. What we are using a URL. It is connecting to some server. I told you in the beginning, will not worry about this database part. But this is run by someone. Okay. So this is what I wanted to tell you. What are the things we need to do for starting to work on. Okay. That's it for this session. We'll in the next class we'll see how to install all these things and start with. We'll write some basic code, but mostly we'll focus on the installation part. Okay. That's it for this session.